Howie may have drafted his greatest pick and a franchise quarterback, and he wasn't even looking for it. Welcome aboard National Football Show. It's your boy, Big Sills. Everybody feeling pretty good about themselves right now, right? Coming off an emotional win on Monday night for those birds, huh? Hit the like button. Appreciate everybody stepping in as you always do. Want to tell you, Doc Walker from the broadcast team of the Washington Commanders will join us in the third hour at 5:30 Eastern time. Until then, you and I are going to cut it up here, and we appreciate it. As I always tell you, when you come aboard here and we get a chance to talk some NFL football and some birds here. You know, I'm going to start the show off by doing this. I got to tell you something, this offense that they're putting together here for Jalen Hurts and Philly. It's really, like I said, an anomaly when you look at the other offenses in the National Football League, and it's maybe one of the most unique that I've seen in the NFL. You know why? Look, you could spread the ball around now, throwing it through the air. You run out of shotgun, and you run out of center. You really don't know what to expect when you're talking about what kind of game plan they're going to put together. And that's why it's so versatile on what they did against the Lions and all of a sudden what they changed up against the Vikings. I mean, they're running plays, and I mean running plays out of shotgun. Traditionally, teams don't do that. It has a college feel to it. You know, but it is controlled. There's a college feel to this. And it makes it, and where I'm going here with it, it makes it one of the most difficult teams to prepare for. Like if you're Washington this week, this is not something that you prepare for every week. You traditionally prepare for the drop back guy, a quarterback who's one-dimensional, which makes it really an off one. That's why when I was telling you guys yesterday, do me a favor, stop comparing Jalen Hurts to Josh Allen or anyone else. Because I got to tell you, Shane Steichen and what Nick Sirianni are doing on the offensive side of the football, there is no question. They're tailor-making this offense to what Jalen's strengths are, and you see it. Is he the greatest passer ever? No. Is he the most accurate guy ever? No, not yet. First 2 weeks, not bad. But is he in an offense now? You got to hand it to Howie here. They've built the offense. I heard Rob Ellis say something, Xander, earlier that I think it's point on. And I tell you why I think there's a difference in the offensive side of the football and the defensive side of the football in Philly. Rob made a spectacular point. That offense on the offensive side of the football is pretty much homegrown. All draft choices. You got AJ, obviously, but the rest of them, you know, Zach Pascal, I get it. But the rest of them, 98% of the players that are in the starting 11 are homegrown dudes. That's pretty remarkable. That's pretty damn impressive, actually. And a lot of these guys are not first-round draft choices. They're later-round picks, mid-picks. It's pretty impressive. And when you have that kind of continuity, where you're reinvesting in your own talent, especially on that side of the ball, there's something to homegrown. Pittsburgh is notorious for homegrown talent, aren't they? They're great drafters. You rarely see Pittsburgh go into a free agent market and pick up a gigantic player like a Jerome Bettis. Yes, they have done that. But that's not something that they like doing. They like to invest inside their own organization. That's kind of what Philly has done on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, go up and down the line of scrimmage with the offensive line. Every single one of those guys was drafted by the Eagles. That's unbelievable. You can't, maybe a handful of teams that do that. Finding offensive linemen, this is probably more of a testament also to Jeff Stoutland, that you're able to get a kid in the 7th round who didn't even know how to put a helmet on, and now you're putting him in a position to potentially be a 15-year guy and an all-pro in Jordan Mailata. You don't see that. That's not common. That is not a commonplace. Now, on the other side of the ball, there's been more mistakes in the draft. Pass rushers, you really haven't had an edge rusher in a bit. Okay? Hardgrave, Fletcher, homegrown. Kaiser White, not homegrown. Okay? Both corners, not homegrown. Your safety position, kind of homegrown. So that's going to take a little bit more time on that side of the ball to gel because those players really haven't played together. And those players on that side of the ball are learning a system and learning a culture. That's why I think the defense is behind the offense. And I think you got better coaching on the offensive side of the ball. Does that make sense? Okay, you got better coaching on that side of the ball. And on top of that, you got more continuity on that side of the ball. I personally think when I look at the Eagles, I think the Eagles' offense is ahead of the defense. And I thought that was going to be a little bit different. Just an observation. When Rob said that, I was like, now I know why the defense is behind. Okay. Oh, Hargrave was a free agent pickup. He's not homegrown. Okay. That just goes more to the point. Okay. I mean, that's why I think that side of the football is, I don't want to say struggling, but it's been inconsistent. Great performance against Minnesota. Not so great against Detroit. Okay. That's a 50-50 deal right now. Whereas I think the offense has performed pretty well and they've got a lot of fixable things. Okay. It's funny because Hurts hasn't beat a playoff team. He's played like 15. That's going to be a conversation today. Jalen hasn't beaten a playoff team yet. Vikings didn't make the playoffs last year. They may make it this year, which would mean he would have beaten one. So we have to wait and see on that. But as of right now, he hasn't beaten a team that has been a playoff team yet. Hey, don't go down that line yet, okay? It's not a criticism. Matthew Stafford had one playoff win in Detroit before he got to Los Angeles. So it's not as easy as you think it is to win playoff ball games. Okay? Not that easy, man. We've had problems with drafting defensive ends, especially pass rushing defensive ends, Paul. Okay? You always got something to complain about. I do? Yeah, because You see what Max says? Max says you always have something to complain about. Yeah, because I'm trying to be great and perfect. Okay? I'm always trying to be perfect, better, trying to make sure you're moving the chains. Your expectations have changed, dude. Your expectations. Okay? The expectations have changed. Swansky says, hey, Dan, I heard Nick talking about attributes he expects QB1 to have, and recently he talked about Hurts' ability to make plays when there isn't one. Do you think Hurts has changed the coach's mind? I'm going to get to that as we speak. Perfection is something that you're always looking for in pro football. Let me go into this now here. Let's go into the topics. I got two of them here for you. Please hit the like button here. Pretty remarkable on what we talked about yesterday with Howie Roseman. It is pretty remarkable. By the way, I got a ton of Eagles topics and NFL topics today. You think Jalen Hurts is Howie Roseman's greatest draft choice? Or potentially playing itself into that position? Since he's been in charge of the Philadelphia Eagles, you think Hurts is his greatest selection? Now, remember something. Some would say, what about Kelsey and all these guys? Yeah, but Kelsey's position, as important as it is, center, quarterback position, it's the most important position that a general manager has to get right. A general manager is gauged on getting that position right. And Howie really hasn't gotten it right. The Carson Wentz experiment in Philly went sideways for whatever reason. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute as well. It is Commander Wentz versus Wentz, or Commander Wentz versus Jalen Hurts this week. And I think this is a big game for both teams, internally and externally. Howie Roseman doesn't want Carson Wentz winning that ball game on Sunday. He absolutely does not. And Xander goes, he's got to win a Super Bowl to make this thing pay off. Remember something, you do have to give Wentz credit for putting the team in position to win the Super Bowl. Without Wentz's play in 17, you don't get there. You know, as much as you want to give it all to Nick, it's not true. The majority of that season was on the back of Carson Wentz. So Xander's point is correct. And if you're really looking at it, Wentz was instrumental in that championship. As much as you want to take that part of his career away from him, having played in Philly, it's not true. And you know it in your heart. He was as important as anybody that was on that football team in 2017. He had put MVP numbers up the entire season until he got injured. And I get it. Just like with Phil Simms back in the day in 1990, when Hostetler took over and they took the team home, still Phil had an 11-0 run that season. He was 11-0 as a starting quarterback. You start losing ball games early, you're not going to be in a position to have home field advantage. Carson Wentz, you have to do this. Carson Wentz puts you in a position to have the NFC playoffs go through Philadelphia that year. As much as you don't want to admit it, that is true. Without Wentz's play, you don't have home field advantage. And that's a fact. So Jalen does have to take this team across the finish line, something McNabb could never do. Okay. Is he Howie's greatest draft choice? He could be. Because if he takes this team across the finish line, Jalen Hurts will be Roseman's greatest moment as a draft guy. Getting a second-round pick that he was brought in initially to be the backup to Carson Wentz to go on and win a Super Bowl would be unbelievable. Be like finding almost Tom Brady. That's how unlikely this stuff is. You think you're going to find a 6th-round draft choice to win 7 Super Bowls? You think Belichick – remember something about Belichick on Brady. Belichick, he passed on Brady, 5 times? Wasn't like the Patriots got it right. They passed on Tom Brady 5 times. I mean, who are the players that they drafted ahead of him? So everyone's like, well, the Patriots got Brady. What a stroke of genius. No, they passed on him 5 times also. Okay? This kid's rounding out to be potentially something Howie could totally hang his hat out. I found my franchise quarterback, and guess what? It just shows you when you're evaluating the position, Howie may have drafted his greatest pick and a franchise quarterback, and he wasn't even looking for it. How funny is that? People look for franchise quarterbacks every single year in the draft. Howie wasn't looking for a franchise guy. He had no intention of Hurts being a franchise quarterback. Everybody in Philly took a shit on the pick. Nobody thought that this was going to be something that you're watching or potentially could evolve into. Right? And hey, Brian says that's exactly how it always happens. Did you really think that the San Francisco 49ers thought they found Joe Montana would be Joe Montana in the 3rd round when they had Steve DeBerg, who went to a Pro Bowl the year before? They weren't looking at that. Or when the 49ers traded for Steve Young when he was in Tampa, he was a complete bomb. They turned him into a Hall of Fame guy. You think when you drafted Aaron Rodgers 25 in Green Bay and you had Brett Favre up there, that guy was going to be that guy? Absolutely not. Or the guy in Baltimore. You really think Lamar was going to be Lamar? Okay? Hey, Big Sills, Jalen said he doesn't need no new friends to continue just to keep doubting him. I don't give a shit what that means. I don't care what that means. You got a lot of golf to play here, my friend, before you start crowing. Congratulations, you beat Kirk Cousins. Way to go. All right, now I want to talk about Carson Wentz here. What was the end of Wentz here in Philly? What happened? By the way, statistically, Wentz is outplaying Jalen Hurts so far on the season. Just so you know, every single statistic except for one. 2. 1 loss column and completion percentage. Everything else he's completely outplaying him in. So this is going to be an interesting weekend. Interesting weekend, to say the least. Okay. Xander's like, what matters the most? I'm talking personal matchups here, too. Agreed. 1 loss record. He's got 1 more win than Carson Wentz does. Agreed. I don't think it's as glaring as everyone thinks it is. Okay? I don't. Kid's got talent. This is going to be a very interesting weekend for Eagle fans, Eagle management, Carson Wentz, Ron Rivera, and the Washington Commanders. This is going to be interesting. I do think turnovers matter. Okay? And is that something out of your genie bottle, all around auto service? Wentz will fold this week. Book it. Okay. Again, I don't forecast things. I'm looking at what's going on right now, what the 2 players have done after week 2 going into week 3. That's what I just said. Wentz has, that's what I just said. Wentz is at 65%. Jalen's at 69%. It's the only statistic passing-wise he owns. Listen to me. Hey, look at everybody getting upset. Boy, every time the name Wentz is mentioned, you guys go into a fetal position. Relax. Boy, this guy really upsets you, doesn't he? You don't know this guy from a can of paint, but yet you think you do. It's funny. This guy pushes Eagle buttons, man. Why? What happened? Okay, what happened? What happened here with Wentz? Was it the Rams injury or was it the Seattle hit by Clowney? What happened? That it just fell apart like that. By the way, hey, Jim Irsay, you might need to open some of them pill bottles. Your team's 0-2, and you have your head coach coming out saying, hey, I really love the fact we have Matt Ryan. You know why? Because that's the owner's pick. The owner wanted Matt Ryan. Oh, okay. Need to stop comparing all your quarterbacks to Andrew Luck. That's the Colts' problem. The Colts need to do what the Eagles are doing. You know what that is? You find a guy, you build an offense around him. No matter what his skill set is. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. Okay? He's not. He's Jalen Hurts. And he's doing a hell of a job so far. He's doing a hell of a job. What happened to Carson here? What happened? I think management. I think personally, management, at the end of the day, I think they failed him. He didn't win in Philly. Really? He was just as much a part of that Super Bowl as anybody else on that football team. He put you in position in 17 to get home field advantage so that the NFC playoffs can go through Philly. See what GT does? He absolutely wants to give Jalen Hurts all the credit for beating no playoff team, but a guy who put you in a position to win the coveted trophy, you don't want to give him any credit for? That's a mistake, guy. That is a massive mistake. Dan, would you rather have Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz? I'd rather have Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz. has won more games over the last 2 years. Carson Wentz beat that Jags team just now with a better team and a better coach. Yeah, you heard me say it. I think Ron's a heck of a coach. Yeah, you heard me say it, and I love Frank. What happened, though? Why can't anyone answer the question? What happened to Carson Wentz in Philly? What happened? What happened? Hold these guys accountable. Hey, guess what? They don't want that conversation. They hate giving him credit. I never realized that till today. Wentz is part of your 2017 photo for the Super Bowl. And I know some of you would like to white it out. You can't. He's part of your history. He's your all-time single season yardage king and touchdown king. And he puts you in position to win the NFC. How many regular season games were there left that year? 3? 2? It's quite a run. Hurts happened to Wentz. When was this? Carson Wentz has beaten winning teams and playoff teams. He did it last year in Indy. Okay, he did it last year in Indy. That 9-8 record last year by Wentz's Colts was way better than the 9-8 record that Jalen Hurts put up. He didn't beat anybody. That team beat the Bills last year. Wentz's team beat the Bills. I mean, we're not talking about beating nobodies here. Okay. He said out loud that he wanted the Eagles to lose the Super Bowl while he was hurt. I want to see that line. I want to see that. I want to see a quote where he said that. I don't want to hear one of these whisperers in a corner that said that a source said. I want to see that quote. You show me that quote. And you post it on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show. Okay? I want to see that. You know what happened, Sills? The dude was soft, too cocky to adapt. Or how about maybe the general manager didn't like the fact that Wentz didn't want to go back in after the Seattle hit. Maybe he was self-preserving himself and he didn't feel right going back in, but the general manager wanted him to go back in. Okay? They beat a Bills hey, so what, dude? It's the NFL. You put your dudes out there, go to work. That's a good number. Hey, by the way, I did write down the numbers. Let's take a look at that. So far in the 2022 NFL season, Jalen Hurts, 63 attempts, 44 completions, 69.8% incompletion percentage. Massive improvement so far in 2 weeks. Absolutely. And after the 56 completion percentage in week 1, that's a really great increase because of the Vikings game. That's really good. But again, it's a 2-game composite here. Not quite a trend yet. A trend is 3 games. We'll know more after this week. And we'll be able to look at some of the trends here. 576 passing yards. Not bad. Okay. You know, you're over 250. That's good. Like we said, you're over 250 yards per game. You're on pace for about 4,200 passing yards. He's doing everything we said. 1 touchdown pass, 1 interception. Now, because of Jalen's ability to run, 28 carries, 147 yards, 73.5 yards per carry. Hell, he's the second leading rusher on the Eagle team. Like to see him be the third, but that's okay. That's still a little high when you're talking to carries of 28 carries in the first 2 games, right? You're talking about 14 carries a game. That's a little bit high still. We'd like to see that number a little bit down. All in all, Jalen Hurts' numbers after the first 2 weeks, I will give you this. He's ahead of schedule. Okay? He's ahead of schedule. Now let's go to Wentz's numbers. 87 attempts, 57 completions, 65.5% completion percentage. Both these guys are in the outstanding category when it comes to completion percentage. Obviously, more attempts. And, because Carson's a passer, Jalen's more dual. Again, I'm not criticizing any here. I'm pointing out. Carson Wentz, 650 yards passing, averaging 325 a week so far. In the first 2 weeks of the season, hard-pressed to find too many quarterbacks outside of Josh Allen and people like Patrick Mahomes that are averaging 325 yards in the air. They have to, because their running game really hasn't been much in the first 2 weeks. 7 touchdowns and 3 picks. Well, when you attempt the ball more, there's going to be more chance for error when you throw the ball more and when you're throwing from behind, which in that game he had 2 picks in the first game too against the Jags. So all in all here, 87 attempts, 57 completions, 65-5, and 650 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Carson Wentz is on pace for 5,500 passing yards this year. Do you know that? 54-25, I thought I saw. On pace for 5,000 passing yards. I mean, so far in the first 2 weeks, if I'm Washington, we'll talk to Doc Walker later, part of the broadcast team. I'm not disappointed with what I'm seeing so far. Okay? Thought it was a rocky first quarter against the Lions, but I'm not one of these guys that are going to sit here. And if I see a guy go 21 of 29 in the second half for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns and no interceptions, and you're telling me that's bad when he rallied his team back, you got blinders on and you don't want to see anything else. Okay? Hurts is on pace for over, I said it, 4,250. Stop it, Sills. He's not getting that. Well, what would make you think then Hurts is getting 4,200? Oh, I see. Wentz won't get 5,400, but Hurts will get 42 in your eyes. I don't think either guy gets those numbers. Just to be fair here. Jalen Hurts is on pace for 4,900. Well, if that's the case, like I said, Carson Wentz is on pace for 5,500. Okay? Wentz was so good, the Colts just couldn't play without him. You're right, they can't. They're 0-2. Thanks, Joseph, for making my point. Appreciate it. Thank you. Carson will be injured by season's end. Why? He wasn't last year. Sileo, get Sproles on the show and ask him about Wentz's quote. Don't want him to run through of Wentz when he powered into the end zone. I don't know what that means. You got to put sentences together, kid. 5,500 yards, baby. Wow. Damn. Unbelievable. Oh, hey, man. Go get him, Carson. Wow. You overrated Wentz. 30-year-old, never played in a playoff game. Okay. I'm not overrating Carson Wentz as a passer. He had superior statistics and a better season than Jalen did last year. By far. Wasn't close. That's not overhyping. That's not hyperbole. That's fact. That's fact. It's fact. Look at the numbers. 27 TDs, 7 picks. Oh, now football's not a game. I'm talking about being a passer here. And by the way, that Colts team beat more significant teams last year than what the Eagles did. Look at the schedule. Who did you beat? Wentz beat winning teams. Okay? Did he crap the bed? Titans, 8 minutes, and Jags. Yeah, that's why I told you that Jags win. Hey, and by the way, the Jags shut out the Colts. How you doing, Jim Irsay? How you doing? How come no one answered the question about what happened to Wentz in Philly? Sills is kind of nuts. Wait a minute. What's the nutty stat here that you don't like? What am I making up? What am I making up? He's not a better passer. Are you crazy? In what year have you seen so far, since those two guys have been in the league together, where you thought Jalen was a better passing quarterback than him? And don't just give me Minnesota. I can give you numerous games where this guy has put up numbers that Jalen will never put up. Come on, man. Consistently, first 2 weeks, this guy's averaging 325 yards a game. Okay? No one's asked me the most important question, though. Maybe one of you will. Okay? Maybe one of you will. We'll see. Okay? Wentz was the caboose. Okay. F the Colts. He's comparing a 5-year quarterback to a 2-year quarterback. Why? Joe Burrow's better than Hurts? I don't know. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to be better than Hurts. Are you kidding? Right? What are we talking? Don't go there like that. You know when you see a guy. Now, again, I was listening to the person that was on Sports Take, and they asked him questions about Jalen Hurts. He's like, hey, we'll see. I was like, wow, a Philly guy saying that. I was like, wow. Okay. So Xander just said Sills is going fishing. Okay. We'll see Sunday. We shall see Sunday. Just for the record, so we can kind of keep this fair, who do you think has more passing yards on Sunday? Wentz or Hurts? You think Wentz does or Hurts? Who do you think has more passing yards? Jalen? You think he's going to duplicate what he did against Minnesota, against Washington? He should. They're a lesser team. Short work week, on the road, divisional opponent. Okay. Got to be a 7-point favorite. Real question is, who will throw more INTs? Fair? Wentz will have more passing yards. Wentz will have more INTs than Hurts. Washington's defense is trash. I thought one of you guys would ask me the most important question, but you guys, no one has asked me about the two players. It's okay. Let's see. Don't care, only the W's. Seals, are you still thinking 2-4? Holding to it. Does passing yards win games? No. Go position by position. I told you, the Eagles are superior to the Washington Commanders. Wentz has 4 picks. 2 hyped up, maybe? Dan, who's the better leader, Wentz or Hurts? We're getting closer. We're getting closer to the question that I really don't want to answer. But I'll answer it if someone asks. Did you just say yesterday Hurts was the best quarterback in the East? So TF is Wentz. Okay. He is the best quarterback in the East. He ain't the best passer in the East. Playing the position and being a passer are 2 different things. I never said anything like that. They're 2 different questions. It's how you ask the question. Okay? Who throws the ball better? Wentz will go into hero ball. How come nobody will answer what happened in Philly with Wentz? Who cares about passing yards? I want to win. Doubt Hurts is a better leader? No. I do not. Dan, which player can you rely on staying healthy? Either. What Hurts had injuries last year, had surgery at the end of the year. Wentz will be on a different team next year. Maybe. Stupid owners do that. How the Colts working out? How much better do you think Rivera is than Sirianni? I think he's just more experienced. Who cares about who cares what you're asking? Okay. What happened in Philly with Wentz? Crippling injuries all over the offense forced Wentz into hero ball and completely soured his already rough relationship with the team. Sounds like a management issue then. Blair asked the question, who would you rather have, Wentz or Hurts, as your quarterback? Finally, Blair asked the question. Whew. Who would you put that up, Xander? Blair's the one. Blair's the one. Blair, you're right. Game's on the line, 2-minute drill. 2 minutes left in the game. Wentz may have 500 yards in the air. But if it's 2 minutes and I got to win a ball game, I'm taking Jalen Hurts over Carson Wentz. That's championship moment. That's when champions are made. That's when a winning attitude has to supersede everything. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that all these numbers that Carson will put up, he may have better numbers this year. But I guarantee you, if you ask 31 other GMs who you'd rather have in a 2-minute drill, I guarantee you 90% of them would say Jalen Hurts. Especially the way what you're seeing now and the fact that he's improved his game so much. We're kind of playing around here a little bit with the numbers. Boy, you guys get really, you guys get really touchy with Carson Wentz talk. Wow. That's really amazing on how he touches you off more. He really left a bad. I'll tell you what, I'm trying to think of athletes that have left. I mean, this guy has left a bigger stain on his reputation than I think Ben Simmons did. Is that fair? There's a lot of people in Philly that look at Ben Simmons and do this. I don't really give a shit about him. But anytime you bring Carson Wentz's name up, boy, I got to tell you, man, you get a cascade of different opinions on what happened on Carson Wentz himself, the management handling of. How do you think management handled him? Okay? How do you think management handled Carson Wentz here? Let's hit on that. I got a boatload of stuff here to go on. Okay? A boatload of stuff. Don't forget, Doc Walker will join us from the broadcast team of the Washington Commanders. We will talk to him at 5:30 Eastern time. Please hit the like button. Big Sil's here for Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free. Means this. If you don't get paid, they don't get paid. They're the number one law firm when it comes to compensation if you've been hurt or injured on the job in America. Nobody is bigger. Morgan & Morgan has been in business for over 30 years, and they've collected for their clients $13.5 billion in settlements. No case is too small. No case is too big. They've got the biggest law firm, as I said, in the country. 800 attorneys and offices in Philly, New York, and in Florida. Make it happen for you each and every single day. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. The call is free. The consultation's free. 800-512-1600. And when you do it, please do me a favor and tell them Big Sil sent you.
After a car crash, the big insurance companies you see advertising on TV, they may try to downplay your case and might say it's only a fender bender or it's just a herniated disc. I worry that some law firms fall for this BS. Not us. We put ourselves in your shoes and ask, what would it be like to be in your pain for the rest of our lives? $1 million wouldn't be enough for me. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.